Have you ever had one of those days where you feel like you just got up on the wrong side of the bed? Yeah, well, that's how I'm kind of feeling about 2022. I just feel like, I started this year out on the wrong side. I have had 2 hospital stays now, and this is not my norm. So let's hope that the rest of 2022 I don't find myself in the hospital again. But the first one in January, I didn't have any control over that. This one was totally my fault. And I can see and hear the collective eye roll going to happen when I tell you what I did, because it was really stupid. And I can't even believe I did that. So let me just get right to it and tell you what I did. I was trying to open a box, and it was a brand new box, and the flaps on the box that you open up, were glued together. So I got the bright idea that I would just get a knife and kind of wedge it between the 2 flaps and hopefully just be able to pop it open. And instead, what happened is I'm holding the box and I'm working on it, and the knife slipped. It was a steak knife, and it slipped, and it went right into my finger, basically in, down, and out my finger. It was pretty nasty looking. It's healed a lot right now, and the markings are from the surgeon. But I let it bleed. I doused it with hydrogen peroxide. I kind of held my a pad or whatever. I can't remember what it was. A dishcloth. I held that on there, letting it, or a washcloth, I should say. I held that on there, letting it bleed. When it finished bleeding, I doused it in Neosporin, put a Band-Aid on it, and felt like I should be okay. What ended up is, like 24 hours later, after changing the Band-Aid out, reapplying the Neosporin, 24 hours later I was getting ready for bed and noticed that my fingers were feeling really stiff, and it was just a little bit painful, and I didn't really connect the two at that moment. But it dawned on me. I got up in the morning, and now my fingers were swollen, and it started swelling here, and the back of my hand was starting to swell. And this was a Saturday morning, so I headed over to urgent care. And the doctor said, "Oh, it looks like this is a good thing. You caught this in time. Probably an infection. We'll put you on antibiotics." So I started the antibiotics, but she also said if it doesn't improve, come back again the next day. So the next day, which was Sunday, I got up, and it was not improved at all. It was getting much more swollen and much worse. So I headed back to urgent care. I still didn't feel at that point that this was like emergency room worthy. It just seemed like, what's the next? If I got sent to the emergency room by the doctor, I would have been like, okay. But when I got there, it was a different doctor. He looked at it, and he said, "Oh yeah," he said, "you've got, an infection going on here." He said, "This is what I'm going to do." So he put me on a second antibiotic to take along with the first one, and gave me an antibiotic shot before I left the office. And he said, at this point, if that doesn't do it, then you need to go to the ER in 24 hours if you're not seeing any improvement. And the next day, which was July 4th, I saw no improvement, and it was actually much worse. Now it was starting to turn red and get really nasty. So I packed a bag because I figured, you know what, the chances of me having to stay there are going to be pretty high. So I packed up some things, and my husband took me in and to the hospital. And when they saw me, they had to keep me. They immediately put me on an IV of a really powerful antibiotic, and the next day I had a surgeon that came in, an orthopedic surgeon that came in and looked at it. But the oddity about this is that by the time I had got to the hospital, my hand was no longer really aching. What hurt the most was my wrist. And so after he examined my hand and my wrist, what he told me is that he said for whatever reason, he didn't know, but it looked like the bacteria had basically just traveled probably straight down an artery from my finger, from the entry point of the knife, right into my wrist. So at this point, my wrist was painful. I mean, it was painful to touch. It was swollen. And my hand as well still too. Anyway, so he said, yeah, we're going to have to do surgery. So that night, which would have been the 5th by that time, July 5th. By that night, I was at 6 o'clock, I was in surgery, and he had to flush it out and take a sample of the bacteria and, yeah, check out everything to see, what was going on. I wanted to jump in here again and just say that while I was in surgery, my lip rolled under my tooth and it got bruised, and I don't know if it can be seen. I did my best to cover it up with makeup, but it is kind of dark. And anyway, if you notice that, that's what it is. Doesn't hurt, and it just is part of the experience for me, I guess, right? Going on. And he didn't know. The bacteria has been sent for culture, so we don't know. He said it'll probably be next week before I know. It comes back from the lab to find out exactly what it was. I had to continue to stay and get these antibiotic IV because it was the most potent way to administer it, I guess, and they wanted to just really hit me with it. So I was getting that every 12 hours, and yesterday was Friday. I've lost track of my days because I just lost a whole week. Yesterday, Friday, they were able to look at it and say, it's the infection hasn't come back, the swelling's going down, everything's looking good, you can go home. And of course, I have lots of follow-up to work to do. But in the big scheme of things, I'm thankful that I got in there, and I'm thankful that, I'm sure taking those antibiotics to begin with preempted this from being a more horrible situation. So, sometimes you just got to say it is what it is, because it was just my own stupidity that put me there. And now my husband and I joke, I'm like, keep me away from all the sharp edges or sharp knives in the house. I feel fine. I don't feel, like I'm in recovery mode other than this, and and it's a little bit painful and sore, but I'm on Tylenol, so it's just regular plain old Tylenol, and so the pain level is low. I'm learning how to do as much as I can with limited use of these fingers and, use of this hand. So, and my husband's chipping in and helping with all kinds of things, so, it's all good. We're surviving. I just don't want to end up back here again. So I'm going to be really extra cautious and extra careful. But I did want to just take these few minutes to jump in and let you guys know what happened, because I did post this in the community tab, and I got so much response from you guys, and you just warmed my heart. You have no idea how much better that made me feel. I appreciate everybody that has been praying for me, and just lifting me up, just to get me through this portion of it at least. So thank you again for being such amazing friends to me. I really value that a lot. And I can type. That's probably, for the most part, that's probably the nicest thing, is that I still, because it was down here, and it kind of hit the area where, think carpal tunnel syndrome, that carpal tunnel area down there. That's the area that it hit in there. But I'm still able to type. I'm still able to do my stuff. No chopping vegetables, no washing dishes, things like that really require a lot more dexterity than what I have. I don't have a lot of strength in this hand, but I can still use it. Today I'm catching up on laundry and, just trying to take care of a few things that get neglected when I'm gone for an entire week, I was thankful that we are past the point in our state with, my husband not being able to come into the hospital with me. That was the case in January, and I did not like that. But he was, always the trooper. He stayed by my side for all the visiting hours that were available. So that was a blessing, too, to be able to have him with me and, just get through this. And now I seem to be on the other side, so I should be back at it with videos and, all those good things here really soon. Probably, I have videos on my computer ready to, to finish up and get out, but I think I'm finally at the point I'm going to be able to do that now. But anyway, all right, you guys, thank you again for, like I said, being such awesome friends and such awesome a community of people that it's just, we're like, it warms my heart. It really does. It blesses me like you don't have any idea. And I hope you all have had or are having a great weekend, and I will see you just as soon as possible. Hopefully by Tuesday I'll have a video out and get back to my Tuesdays and Fridays. All right. See you all in my next video. Bye-bye.